Mark,
What's happening?
not much. It's the Justice League are dead. It's over,
We're
right?
done. Yeah, that's it.
We're good.
You saw the
Okay,
last episode, which was the beginning, and now we're here to talk about the end.
we'll find something to talk about right after this.
I love that intro.
Yeah, isn't it great? Welcome back to DC Comics Dark Crisis Deep Dive. I'm Paul.
I'm
He
Mark.
is always point the wrong way. Yeah, on my screen, you're the other way. It's like I got to remember to do that. So,
Just do this every
we will.
time.
Yeah,
I'm Mark. We
we
fall.
yeah, we will be here every step of the way along the Dark Crisis road. We've already had the Death of the Justice League. This week we had the Free Comic Book Day Dark Crisis Special Edition. I really like it when the comic companies do new material for Free Comic Book Day because sometimes it seems like they go in cycles where sometimes
Yeah,
they just reprint stuff and sometimes they do new stuff. This I really liked the fact that it was Dark Crisis. It was a new story by the guy who's shepherding it all, Joshua Williamson, and they got a pretty big artist too to do the Jim Chung he's no schmo when it
dude,
comes to
there were
art.
some of the cleanest, crispest panels I've seen ever drawn of the Flash in my life in this thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so it picks up really kind of right after the end of the Justice League, or the Justice League is dead. It's broken up. The Free Comic Book Day is broken up into three separate parts. We'll deal with it. We'll talk about each one. Um, the first part is kind of really a celebration, I think, of the Justice League. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It was. I think it was. And the way that they did it was interesting through the civilians' viewpoint. How are they celebrated now after their death?
Right. And as there was in the Death of the Justice League, there are callbacks aplenty throughout this story. Right from panel number 1, where you get, the to the cover of Brave and the Bold number 28. It's Starro. Starro is back.
Yeah, first
And he's not,
appearance of Zorro.
yeah, and he's not the mini Starro that they used to hang around with Batman. Um,
Zorro for the win. That's my favorite Robin.
exactly,
I love him.
And then, panel after panel calls back to the Justice League origin from way back from Justice League number 9. We get the Dark Side War from the New 52. And then immediately on the next page, it's a full page onslaught of the Justice League history. Um, Straight across, right? I mean, you got the originals with a lot of the original artists. You got, the 70s and 80s Justice League. You got Kevin Maguire and the Justice League. Kevin Maguire from Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis. You got Howard Porter and Grant Morrison's. You got Brad Meltzer's and Michael Turner's. You got Jim Lee and Jeff Johns. You got everybody. Um, and and it's as the person walks in front, basically talking about the fact that what talks about the essence of the Justice League, not the people. It really kind of talks about the essence of what the Justice League is.
Their existence shows that people with incredible power can work together, and no matter the challenge, they prove to be the best of us. It was a very powerful moment, like because they take us through it, but it's literally kids on a tour inside of a Justice League museum that's celebrating their existence, their accomplishments, and everything that they stood for. It was really cool, and then they threw a twist into it.
Exactly, because apparently saying too many good things about the Justice League just kind of got to be too much for the with the tour guide.
The tour guide, the little twist, the tour guide turned out to be none other than Clayface in disguise, thus giving us a little story plot to get a little bit of action out of the little new material section. It was nice.
Right, and then no sooner does Clayface appear than Wally West, the Flash, appears
And
to
one of
battle
the
Clayface.
cleanest panels ever drawn.
Yeah, it is really it is stunning, his drawing of Flash there in that panel. It is just incredible.
So
Um,
Clayface was there to steal a mother box of all things. Clayface saying
right.
all these nice things about the Justice League, hidden as a tour guide, couldn't take it because Clayface was really there to celebrate, in his opinion, their arrogance and their stupidity to leave such cosmic weapons just laying out. And apparently they weren't as stupid as Clayface assumed because Wally shows up to save the day.
Right. He makes, for lack of for with every pun intended, he makes quick work of them.
Quick work. Yeah. It was pretty cool. And again to the artwork, Jim Chung absolutely crushed it. Like some of these panels, just that little smirk on his face with that lightning crackling out of one
Mhm.
side of the eye, and it was just a cool little. I mean, it wasn't a lot of weight to this. It was like mainly to point out, like you said, a celebration of the Justice League and kind of like a memorial for them for the readers to have for them, and to get a little bit of action along the way, and just to see Wally show out. He is one of the survivors of the death of the Justice League. He was not present at the time. For those that missed the first episode, he was not present for the battle. He was back on Earth in the Hall of Justice. So he is one of the at this point the OGs that are going to be around
Mhm.
after the fact. So we do have him. We do have Black Adam. So it's cool to see that he's kind of right there front and center.
Right. But we're left with a question at the end, right? He asked the question, that he says there will always be a Justice League. The question is, who will they be?
Yeah. No,
You
look at
know,
that. We didn't even practice that, but
who?
yeah. Yeah, and
um,
there's
and
a
so,
beautiful panel showing the legacy characters from
mhm,
Titans to Jonathan and Jace and everything. Like just again, just the artwork was just so gorgeous in this, and that's just such a powerful panel. That the like you have the statues of the ones that had fallen, and up in the sky is a like kind of like just a representation of who they left behind, who they have inspired, who have they with what they've done. Like just the concept of legacy with these characters is really strong in this, and we saw it in other things like the last issue of the Flash itself, where they were leaning into the meaning of legacy, and as well as with John Kent and his stuff talking with Nightwing, like what does it really mean? So DC's been pretty decent on editorial with that aspect, especially, and kind of leaning into this. So right now, legacy is huge with DC
yeah,
Comics.
yep, and it will be obviously, I think, for the rest of the series. So for the rest of the year. So after that, then we go into we get a sneak preview of Dark Crisis.
We get a
Um,
few pages.
we do, and there was a couple really interesting things that I saw in here that really kind of made me um, kind of raise my eyebrow and go, like the fact that it's like, so all of the cult groups are the ones that kind of um, are attacking right now, but they make a reference to the fact that all the heavy hitters are missing when it comes to villains, you know, which we probably know they've been uh, taken over by the Great Darkness. So I'm assuming that those are the heavy hitters that they're talking about, but maybe there are others too. So
I immediately thought of three different things as soon as I read that, because that was toward the end of the little couple page previews we got, and when they mentioned
right,
that, I thought one, there is the small dark army that we saw in Death of the Justice League. Number
right,
two, I immediately thought of Jeff Johns' Infinite Crisis, because again, this is paying homage to all the crises that came before, and in that we saw the all the villains united. They were
mhm,
doing their own thing, so I'm wondering if the other villains are already aware of something coming and working on their own plan, as well as it did a call back in my mind to the Year of the Villain we had about 3 years ago, again when the villains really kind of got their ranks and their numbers together. So I'm wondering, something's cooking. Something's definitely cooking.
yeah,
I'm betting on they're uniting. They're scheming. Like where's Lex? We
right,
won't know until we if we know where Lex is, then we'll know.
right. And that's a great point, because he's not part of the Great Darkness Army.
Mm-mm.
So, and he was the only one who was able to, basically beat Perpetua too.
Yes,
So
he
right,
did.
yep,
Yes. Yeah, he's the only person in the comics who have just single-handedly outwitted the Batman Who Laughs.
right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So So I agree with you. I think Lex is going to be a huge part of this story at some point. He's got to be. You can't have a crisis and not have Lex. It's kind of like having a crisis and not having a Flash.
Yeah,
It's like you just
it was
you just
again
have to.
calling back to the end of Infinite Crisis when Alexander Luthor on the run and Lex catching up to him and saying, "You made one grave error," and Lex Luthor brought the Joker. He's like, "You didn't let the Joker play," and just left him to do his thing. Like, yeah, he's that key player in a lot of Crisis stuff, man. He's just a good villain for this kind of level stuff because he really gets the chance to really stretch his capabilities and show how smart he really is.
Right. And I think there's I almost feel like in almost every issue there's going to be you're going to have to look for those little Easter eggs, those callbacks to things from before.
Mhm.
That's how much I think Joshua Williamson is going to try and tie everything that has happened before, as much as
Yeah,
he possibly can. He's going to tie it into somehow into what's going on in his story. So,
and to
um,
that point, this is really his first event like this of this
right,
magnitude. Like he's done little crossovers inside of his own books, whatever, but this is his first real event. Like Jeff Johns has been the poster boy for these because he's such a hardcore fan and he has this vast knowledge of everything that came before that he's able to work it all in there in such a beautiful level. Williamson is already cutting his teeth and showing that he has that kind of knowledge of this material as well. He's already showing that in just two
right.
issues.
Right. And he has it's not something like he's starting today. He like, maybe like 6 or 7 months ago he started. I mean, he has had Infinite Frontier and then Justice League Incarnate. So he has had well over a year's worth time to put all the pieces in place wherever he wanted
Mhm.
them. It's not like he just jumped into Dark Crisis and is going there. I'm sure he put every single piece on the chessboard wherever he needed it to be.
Yeah.
And now he's going to start to move them all around on us. But yeah, I really kind of thought it was kind of cool the way they said that basically all the Doomsday cults are freaking out because they know that something's up, but
Mhm.
all the really bad villains are like they're not saying anything.
Not saying nothing. Yeah, I do also like how nuanced the opening, like cutting back to the beginning of the actual
Yep.
preview pages for Dark Crisis 1. I'm sure we'll touch on this a little bit more with obviously when the book comes out, but uh previously when we got a little clip of the history behind the whole the darkness coming. So now we have this little homage to that already where it's like even though we operated in the dark, it all started with light, and that's like just like how that callback to the great darkness started. Like it all started with darkness, but then there's that little seep of light. But this time, instead of reference to this ultimate evil being created, it's reference to Batman inducting Dick Grayson in as Robin. I thought that was a cool little
Right.
parallel that he's doing as well. And the pages were pretty dope on that too.
Right. With just a single light, just one light, one candle.
Just one candle, and that calls back to that amazing quote: "It's better to light one candle than curse the darkness."
Right.
It was a
Yep.
cool little representation.
And then the final the fight. Oh yeah, that is just an incredible spread, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some really amazing artwork in here. Like and all those, these are always fun when they do that. Those little timeline spreads and everything. It's almost like a
Mhm.
Where's Waldo that you get to just sit and enjoy and looking at through all this stuff, not recognizing some of it, placing some of it, stuff that you've read and stuff that's just familiar. I absolutely love when they do those little things like that. It's also kind of sad because like there's the Teen Titans era where Superboy Prime killed Superboy. That was sad.
Yeah.
Front and center, you have George Perez's Teen Titans. You got the
Mhm.
first meeting, Crisis on what was it? Crisis on Infinite Earths. No,
Mhm.
before that, Infinite Crisis. No, there's so many different crises. The one with the
Yeah.
JSC up in the clouds
The Crisis on Earth 2.
on Earth 2. That's
That
right. Yeah,
they were the annual Justice League Justice Society crossovers that they used to do.
crossover. Yeah, it was just really cool.
Mm. And then the last part, which I didn't expect, I didn't really even notice anything I mentioned was going to be in there, but it's really kind of, again, it's kind of a nice callback to Crisis on Infinite Earths and everything that happened there. Chris Burnham, there's the light, right?
Yeah, the same parallel
Um,
to the opening page of the Dark Crisis one right there. It was
yeah.
nuts.
And it goes through basically kind of fitting on, on this weekend that it kind of goes through the the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and everything that happened there, and it kind of again shows how that's basically leading into where we are now. And I mean, the very last sentence in the book, basically is pretty much it. It basically says the stage is now set for Dark Crisis.
Yeah, so
But
these were the 5 pages that were included in Infinite Frontier, Justice League Incarnate issue 3 or
oh, right,
4. Yeah,
okay, yep,
so yeah, it gives us the explanation of the Great Darkness from its origins in Swamp Thing number 50, which you get
right,
like 2 panels from that. It gives you a couple panels from Infinite Crisis, uh, what is it, Death Metal, the
yep,
formation of the Justice League, the Dark Army. It really just gives you that quick catch up for those that didn't read those miniseries. If you do pick this up, it kind of gives you a great synopsis of the evil entity that's on the way. It gives you what you need to know about that, just the core of it. So you're good to go. And like you said, the stakes are now set. We're ready for a dark crisis.
right. And so the next step on our Road to Dark Crisis is the Justice League Road to Dark Crisis comes out at the end of the month, and then we be into Dark Crisis proper. And we found out the other thing that we got was we got checklist for Dark Crisis for the
Yes.
entire thing, which we had never seen before, right?
I
So we
love
got the
it.
checklist exactly. No, I don't want to miss it, and now it makes more sense why they had a World Without Justice League Superman, because they're basically going to do one. They're going to do one for the big five heroes, if you want to call it that. But then each of those issues is also going to have a backup. So, like Martian Manhunter will get his turn, Hawkgirl will get her turn. So it's going to be more than one story in each issue. Um, and then we have Dark Crisis Young Justice is going to run for 6 issues. And then the Flash is going to cross over. It doesn't mention in here, but I do know that Aquaman crosses over with one issue as well, but maybe not as much as the Flash is, because I think the Flash is going to be it's going to be Wally looking for
No, I
Barry.
wonder if that was just a late decision with Aquaman because
Could be.
they decided to cut Aquaman short. So I wonder if they're just using that as a plot device, just to, you know what I'm saying, instead of leaving it just cutting
Yeah.
it off open ended, just a good plot device to find the end
Yeah.
of that run.
Mm.
And I did talk with Chuck
It,
Brown, the writer of Aquaman, yesterday, and he said that they
yeah.
are in meetings to see where the title's going moving forward. So
Oh,
it's not
nice.
dead; it's just getting re-steered.
Nice. Nice. Like I said, the Flash I believe it's going to have Wally trying to find Barry. And then we end it all with the Dark Crisis Warzone. So there are at least 3, if not 4 titles every single month. And I mean, they could tie in other things down the road too as well. So they just haven't
Starting
listed
in
yet.
June. Starting in June. This month's a
Starting in
little
June.
light.
Right, right. We just got, I think it's the last day of the month, I think, the 31st. We got Justice League Road to Dark Crisis.
You're making us
So
really wait.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Because then I think maybe even the week after maybe is Dark Crisis. So I think maybe 2 weeks in a row we'll get something. But yeah, it's May 31st is the Road to Dark Crisis.
Yeah,
So
I honestly think that 4 is the magic number, like because you get the main title every month, and you have 4 or 5 Tuesdays in a month. So I think one a week is not overload at all. I
no,
think
not at all. Nope.
that's a good number, especially
Yeah,
when
and
one of the titles is an existing title. You know, like the Flash is an existing title. That's adding nothing to the pool. It's just
right.
already there.
Yeah, and I mean, and I agree. Like one a week is a good number for me too, because it doesn't overextend it either. It's not like
Mhm.
I may get some hate for this, but it's not like Marvel is slapping the banner on every single title that they produce. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
And it's not like, all right, just to be fair, and it's not like Death Metal that they did where they
true.
announced a couple of crossovers and people bought them up. So they're like, you know what? Let's make more.
Yeah,
Let's make more.
yeah,
But they, and also their defense, 100% of those mattered to the main body of work too, though. They
right,
weren't throwaway.
right. Yeah.
That
And I
has me curious, Paul, real quick. How much do you want these tie-ins or crossovers to, you know what I mean? How much do you want them to commit to the main body, the main 7 issues? Because that's the
I,
thing with these events. They can go throwaway filler or actual hard continuity for the story.
I think to me, I think the reason, like you say with the Flash, is I think it's important because it Barry Allen and finding out what's going to happen with the Flash title. Will it be Barry? Will it be continue to be Wally? Whatever. It's a story that fits well, obviously, in its own title. I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
proponent of. I don't mind crossovers, but I also believe that the main title should tell a story on its own.
on its own. Yeah,
You shouldn't have to deviate to all these other parts to see important parts of the title, because to me that's just saying I need you to spend more money on my books, you
yeah.
know. So
It should always add to it heavily and never take anything away from it.
correct, correct. I don't want to see a little blurb at the bottom of a panel that says, to find out what he's talking about,
Yeah.
see flash number 785.
Yeah.
That to me should never happen. Um, I would also be remiss if I didn't say that there was a foil for the Dark Crisis. Oh, there you go. So there was some really nice foils for Dark Crisis as well. I'm sure you can still get the Dark Crisis Special Edition Free Comic Book Day at an online somewhere, or even at your local comic shop if they still have some of them. I'm sure they'll probably give them out. So, um, anything else we got for today, Mark?
And that's pretty much it. I'm just pumped to get to this next issue. I hate that we have to wait so long.
Me too. Me too.
The road to Dark
So
Crisis is coming.
yeah, so that's going to do it for this episode of DC Dark Crisis Deep Dive. Again, we'll be back after Justice League Road to Dark Crisis. Make sure you leave some comments below. Let us know if you have any questions, what you want us to talk about, and hopefully we'll have some surprises coming along the way in some months coming up as we do this. But as for now, I did it right. He is Mark.
He is Paul.
And I am. And as of right now, you are leaving Sector 2815.